To solve this inequality, we will consider the equation x plus 5 times x minus 4 over x plus 1 equal to 0, so we can determine the intervals in which we will test. Remember that we need to find the values that cause the function to be equal to 0, and these values are when x is equal to negative 5 or x is equal to 4. Negative 5 plus 5 is 0, and 4 minus 4 is 0. Now we also need to find the values that cause the function to be undefined, in other words, where we're dividing by 0. If x is negative 1, we'll have an undefined expression, and so these are the values that define our intervals. If I draw a number line and I label those values from least to greatest, we'll have the number line divided up as so, and so I'll have 1, 2, 3, 4 intervals in which I'll have to test. We will now use our test intervals and test values within those intervals to determine if the given expression is indeed greater than or equal to 0. When I substitute negative 6 into this expression, I should get negative 2. Because we have greater than or equal to 0, we'll write that on this side. Negative 2 is not greater than or equal to 0, so that's a false statement. So the answer to the question in that interval is no. When x is negative 2, we get 18 when we evaluate the expression greater than or equal to 0. 18 is, in fact, greater than or equal to 0, so that is true. So the answer to the question is yes. In interval C, if we let x equal 0, we should get negative 20 bigger than or equal to 0. Negative 20 is not greater than or equal to 0, so that is false. So the answer is no. And finally, when x is 5, if we substitute that in for x, we should get 5/3 greater than or equal to 0. That is true, and so the answer is yes. We can see that in the interval where we have negative 5 to negative 1, not including negative 1, that is a solution. And then the interval of 4 to infinity is a solution. So we graph that as follows. Interval B is this portion of the graph. Since it's greater than or equal to 0, remember the function is equal to 0 at negative 5. It's undefined at negative 1, so we have an open circle. The other portion where we find yes is interval D, which is 4 to infinity. So we draw this portion of the graph. And that is the solution to this inequality.